Welcome, welcome to our future humans, to those who are prepared for our conversation. Love. There are no conditions. For the functional inner child adults, for the 5D collective of mystics, spiritual, the ones who know Jesus, forgiveness, Christ consciousness, the ones who are empowered, enlightened, spiritual ones, masters, some are prophets and expert yogis, and that's because we channel and we see things and we don't all have to say anything about it. But as I was sharing, lovely Sean Carroll tells us how the universe clicks along in perfect accord with the laws of physics forever. And then again, he talks about determinism, and there's another word. And so what I love about scientists is they do not contrast with the spirituality enlightened ones. So we have a fun time together, all the people who are lovers. And that's why betrayal and heartbreak, those are scenarios that don't fall within the category of an emotionally mature person or mentally mature. Now, do we get worried and do we get sad and afraid? And yeah, of course. But the difference between a functional and a child adult is we get to reassure ourselves. The non-traumatized, secure, attached person is able to use their nervous system and the good resilience. So with open-ended inquiry, you don't accentuate what you like and what you don't like. That's what people don't like about the ones of us who are neutral. And that's why the 43D will say you have no opinion, and you say, nah, I have no opinion. I know what I prefer and not prefer, but that's just so they don't like that we say it's not a fact. And that's because there's a level of, the left mode likes a specific type of certainty. The right mode is like, you stop, there's no certainty. And when you have an integrated brain, they're not fighting each other. So inside of Maria, there's no inner conflict, and then outside, there's no outer conflict. But your heart will get sad if you and I can't get along. But because I'm a grown-up now, that's why I'm 45.0 version. So when someone says you've changed, I say I've matured. Oh, and I do talk about a lot of things, and sometimes I say one thing and sometimes I say a next, and that's because I'm talking about the concept of that moment. So just FYI, there are those who will feel changed. I don't know that journey because I didn't have to reparent myself. The ones who do change and reparent themselves, they talk about that because they recognize, here was my fake self with shame, blame, fault, revenge, defect, my bad resilience, all of the unhealthy self-soothing, the pacifier, alcohol, drugs, whatever it is. We're going to reorganize and reframe that which is the people who are on Pinocchio's island. So while I honor and respect and love all the therapists out there, I learn from them consistently. I know that there's a bunch of people who think we're way too serious, and that we're making a way too big of a deal, and that we're choosing to use words that are, provocative and whatnot. So they get provoked. We don't get provoked, which is nice because leaders, they know how to stand up for what they believe in, the real ones, and without having to use pitchforks, because really that's, again, if you're new, pseudo-live people. So betrayal and heartbreak scenarios are nothing more than emotionally immature people playing a game of ups and downs in their fantasy stages with the dopamine hits that their body is continuing to seek, which means they're playing out their 0 to 8-year-old. And while some will say, how dare you, drama kings and queens don't choose it, I know that. Go tell the one who says to me, hey, I'm doing great after everything you told me. Hey, guess what? That person, I'm going to judge them, and I'm going to call them good and bad, and I'm going to keep pointing fingers. And I'm saying to the therapist, because they want to tell those of us who are hearing them that we're supposed to be soft-spoken about that which is someone who didn't choose their trauma. We know that. The little girl who's still crying didn't choose it either. So I'm just going to let you all know I stand on the side of I don't really do what Maria likes or doesn't like. I do be you. The best advice that I could ever give anyone. But don't be the fake you. Be the real you by knowing that, again, betrayal and heartbreak. So I'm going to tell you some of my teenage stories. For empowered people, love is not a game. It's a commitment like life and cherished. And God told me very well how to cherish all my brothers and sisters through Jesus. So if you do remember, that's if you're not a new one. If you're not a new one, if you're a new one, you don't know. We're masters in Resh, and we're mastering our 8th and 9th chakra. And as a bunch of different quotes that I wanted to read, one that I really wanted to get to, not only is for a committed person, there's no such thing as failure, just lessons to be learned, but when things go wrong in life, that is when it shows who you are. When things go well, everyone can pretend to be fantastic. Yes. Also, There are two kinds of people: those who make things happen and those who enjoy it when it happens well and complain when it doesn't, or people who want to say they love and they don't know how to love and commit. So there's a lot of individuals who disregard that they're not getting into their self-led bodies, but that they're getting into, what's the word, groups. So groups do this. They think they have integrity with the words they use. While those who have integrity and morality, we don't bother with what words you use, because we're going to know what nervous system we're in the presence of. Because the minute that you are actually that picky about words in a certain way and you want to define that a polyamory person is not moral or a monoamory is not, it doesn't matter. You just told me what you like and don't like. You want to tell me sex is the way to higher up? Sure, that's what you think because that's what you like. Masculines are always very obvious, because when they're not empowered, they're not using their feminine. When instead you have a whole person, it's, yes, Sam Harris, thank you so much. If your beliefs are not falsifiable, if there's no scenario that could convince you that your most cherishable beliefs are in error, well, then that's proof you didn't get them from being in contact with reality. So when people want their likes and dislikes to be what rules the world, we get to hear about their groups. When you have empowered ones, it's not about what we like or don't like. It's about what works and doesn't work. Love is not a game. Love is a commitment for yourself, and that's why we're always selfish and to others. So the life within you, as lovely Sadhguru shares, is not here to serve your body, mind, or emotion. The body, mind, and emotion are here to serve your life. Yes, but you won't be the essence of you without your child parts, all whole and with your body and ventral vagal state. For better or for worse, for richer or for poorer, sickness and in health, till death do us part. Well, I mean, this is the part of where when I see some people having the idea that you have to stay married or you don't have to stay married, like all these have tos, I'm thinking, okay, we have a lot of emotionally immature people who don't know how to handle heartbreak when it happens. Teenage boyfriend breaks up with me. It was after the 4th year. I didn't give up on the relationship. Those who want to judge a adolescent relationship, sure, go for it. I mean, anybody who's doing that, I find ridiculous, because that's why, again, 45.0 version. So you learn about the adolescent essence, essential spark, social engagement, novelty, creative expression. 11 to 25. A grown-up is supposed to lead by example. When people are grown-ups who use their light and lightning rod, they're not an example, except for the self-righteous baton that they're carrying on to the next, and they're giving scarlet letters out. And they think that they can be what? They're playing God for a person who knows who God is. They're not God. They're not divinity, because if they were divinity, then they'd know what their place was, which would be you look in the eyes of your brothers and sisters and you accept and love and respect them just the way they are. It's called healthy boundaries. It's also called the real way of spirituality, which is why it's not just a word. It's you living a life of meaning and connection beyond the solo self. Thank you, lovely Dr. Daniel Siegel, who was invited to a spirituality conference. So when you see the mystics and the spiritual ones who don't know how to forgive and who still talk to you about evil, Knievel, medieval, and Lucifer and monsters, well, guess what? Those are all stories for them to continue having heroes and villains. And guess who fights the battles? And guess who's going up and down a merry-go-round and treating their body like shit? Because that's the thing. It's not for me that I'm talking for the people who want to know love is not a game. Life is not a game. It's a game for us to play in our minds, yes, because we feel and think easily. That's what it's called, to be yourself and to believe in yourself and to not need this. Oh, it doesn't mean I don't want to connect. It means I have a first allo parenting career and then I have a next, and it expands, because the first is what matters the most. That's my foundation. And I got lucky. I have a twin and a younger sister and a mom, and then I got to be the bossy one of all. So there you go, self-agent, lucky, charmed, yes. And I'm like, yeah, I am Maria. And that was to my biological father, who called me the wrong name. I waited 3 times. I learned how to wait. I learn now how to wait even longer when I meet people, because the please appeasers come out of the woodwork. I don't like fake people. Anybody who's pretending to be themselves has a mask. But my facade friend, thanks to him, I don't yell at people in the face. Teenage boyfriend showed me what cowards do, like everybody else who's a coward. Because see, to me, it's very easy. Get up, get up, get up. Okay, you got 2 hands, 2 feet, go. Now I know, though, why some people need doctoring the Pegan. Because they actively need to get out of the neuroception, which is not about willpower. That's why, is it likely that you won't get out of bad habits? It depends. If you have your nervous system in VBS, you can easily, all of it. All you need is air, water, food. Every word you utter, every action you take, your very existence. Is it for everyone's well-being, or is it just about you? Just fix this one thing to determine the nature of your life. Now, it's also, though, that was Sadhguru Bill O'Hanlon, LMFT. It's not enough to ask people about a positive experience. It's about savoring that experience and getting them to stay with it. Yes, but that's the point. If people want to continue, which as Bessel van der Kolk points out, you can't talk sense to someone, and trauma, it taints a person's entire life until they understand it's not just a story of something that happened in the past. Trauma is the imprint that all experiences leave on your soul and your body as your sensations. Thank you, Bessel van der Kolk. So you don't give up on people because they have open-ended stuff that they're dealing with. You know that as long as somebody doesn't give up on themselves and they choose their health, then they choose that which is love. And so integrity is where you know that morality and integrity comes from you being able to be equanimous, one, calm-centered, because that's the timber of truth. It's discernment, like God is. The ones who like to get, we all can get irritated. There is a way that you can get irritated, which involves, I'm Maria and I have a subjective experience and a subjective way of wanting to be in engagement. And then there's also the flexibility of becoming mature and knowing that everybody does play the game of life differently, because some are very, very afraid. And so they don't know how to be themselves. And so empowered people don't give up on people like spiritual masters, gurus, and anybody who's a somatic empath just because they have trauma going on. You know what it is, and then with healthy words, because you don't have to shame people, when people are around those who are healthy, they will know this. Again, they might not like it all the time, but they'll understand, because this is why we're empowered. And so you don't, again, just give up on someone. I always found it cowardly, the betrayal thing. So adolescents showed it to me, then young adults, and by the time I'm a young adult, though, I don't really need to look again, because we're all made the same. So it's either you're going to be an authentic, genuine human being who knows how to handle emotional maturity, mental maturity, and have a good time, or the opposite, which really is not something I engage with, because I learned as an adolescent what to do with those who are going to want to say they're right and I'm wrong. I'm not about right or wrong. I have an opinion, you do, that's it. The ones who tell me about the world, yeah, I already know God has everything taken care of. You got free will. How are you choosing to treat your neighbor today? How you treat, so you don't give up on people. But of course, I get it. Some people are really dragged down by the ones who are in their lower frequency. So they decide to cut people from the herd. Thing is that makes it sound like they're better than others. And some people will look at me and say, it seems like you think you're better than others. And I say, no, but I do vibe at the high frequency, because my ventral energy is what leads me, because I don't go on and off. I learned how to use my brain in the prefrontal a long time ago without Tara Brock's video. Mindful Mindset mentor, content creator, podcast host. So when you truly experience yourself beyond the limitations of the body and the mind, there shall be no fear. So getting broken up isn't going to make me not believe in love. And twin flames also don't actually do this thing of testing you, because you cherish every single one of the experiences. They bring you more and more to doing the very thing your soul decided to want to do. Be yourself authentically. All your child parts asleep. Then you get to have a good time with the grown-ups. And then you get to know that we don't get picky with morality, integrity, virtue, with the very words of society. A society that leads with people who want to give people scarlet letters. Because, see, that's when it is truly a shame. Because, let me go and find, where are you, Sadhguru? There's one of his quotes that really stood out, and it is about, if you have been through something, why would you put somebody through it? Something like that. And there's your self-righteous baton, which is when somebody hasn't healed their trauma charge, and they're going around with the trauma charge. And so you see, that's not justice, that's you. I want it to be a world that's about what feels right now, what is right now, it feels. So when you have likes and dislikes, this is why those are very unfascinating interactions. And on that note, here it is. I found my other phone. I was looking for it. We talked about it before, but we will actually close with this. The people who realized once the teenage thing, the broken up took place, that I didn't care, it wasn't because I didn't love. No, it's because I accepted that we all know what we want and don't want in life. So it wasn't something that made me feel less valuable, which is why when you hear a man saying that his confidence can be eroded if someone looks away, that's a weak spot and a big one. And it's called shame, and you could actually completely heal that, become the owner of you, and then be somebody who is loyal for real, because it won't be based on what you like or don't like. It'll be based on the authentic version of yourself with two sides of a brain. So love, it's the oxytocin gene hormone, and it's you being able to have emotional anger, sadness, fear, all healthily. just in case. And I know that some people, they don't think this is possible to feel equanimous. That's because they haven't tried yet. And I know it is a journey, but in the meantime, I also know propelled by rage, we substitute one injustice for another. Propelled by compassion, we do what is needed. Thank you, Sadhguru. So the 5D collective is made of lovers because, again, love is not a game. It's a commitment, and you love all your brothers and sisters. When Sadhguru had me promise it again, I said, I already promised this to Jesus, and God and Holy Spirit in my good Christian Catholic upbringing. And then I get to tell you all that true leadership knows good intentions are not enough. It takes the right action performed with the right consciousness to produce the necessary results. So yes, objective reality people who also know about objective quantitative data people, come on in. Scientists, you're awesome. So 5D mystics, come on over. Spiritual ones, mindful mental ones, securely secular ones, come, let's have fun. But yeah, in the meantime, as I got older, I grew more loving, not less. And when people say, thought you would have become a cynic by now. Really? You think I would not learn how to love more? When those who don't know how to love, that's because they doubt every time they meet a kind person. They don't know what neutrality is, which is what makes them very bad at everything. Because even though they might be able to hunt a bear, I am in a society. And when you misunderstand neutrality with somebody wanting to backstab you the rest of your entire life, I mean, wow, that's got to be very tiresome. So, I mean, that's not fascinating. That is the part of where I never looked back to this teenage boyfriend thing and thought, oh my God, I wanted to be friends immediately. And then it took me, because nobody supported me. So society that rules on petty emotional immaturity is not what I look to. In fact, to this day, I'm friends because I said they didn't do anything wrong. Love is love. Actually, I tip my hat to the woman. As for the man, I already knew him. That's where I didn't ever give up on him. Are you supposed to give up on somebody you say that you love? That sounds pretty crappy in my opinion. Now, if somebody wants to choose to stay in that hellhole, self-loathing gut wrench, I'll give you the pillow, but then I'm going to go. I'll come check, hey, you're doing great in there, bye. But it ain't a demon. So please, let's not, again, it's not a black and white type of conversation. It's a more thorough one. And the ones who are trying to be one or the other coin aren't making it clearer on YouTube land, at least. The therapists are doing their best, but I'm being the spiritual mystic pseudoscience woo lady who's like, okay, so here's the deal. And we get to have a good time. So life is a commitment, love is a commitment, and then everybody does what they can. And trauma charts are really painful. So you don't make somebody want to heal. They have to want it for themselves. No one can make you embrace the power of you. We talked about that one. The power of neuroplasticity, the power of manifestation. The power of you is being your authentic self. And that's why you don't change. Those who do feel change is because they never owned their sense of self until they did all the EMDR, child parts work, all the therapy, and then finally now they know how to use what is their embodied brain, which is great. So join us at IHP. Have a good one.